It's funny that in a place called Hope County, there are fanatics that believe the end of the world is coming.
Far Cry 5 has been out for about a week now, and during that time, I've been combing the mountains of Montana for as many Easter eggs as I could find. In the following video, I'll be showing off 23 of the little beauties, so if in-jokes, movie references and video game Easter eggs are your bag, there'll be plenty in here to keep you entertained. Be warned though, some of these Easter eggs are a little on the spoilerific side, so proceed with caution. Let's start off big with a reference to the most famous video game series of all time, the Super Mario Bros.
Smart work at the jail, deputy.
Jump along to any weapons merchant, browse their selection of melee weapons, and treat yourself to the bolted pipe, a snip at $600. Once you've done that, you get the option to tart it up a bit by adding a skin, at which point you should definitely choose the Warp Zone skin, which paints the pipe a lovely shade of green. Super! Now all you need to do is head out into Hope County and give everyone a damn good thwomping. Wahoo indeed! Mario isn't the only Nintendo character to get a sly shout-out in Far Cry 5 though. There's also a few post-it notes dotted around the game world that contain a reference to the classic NES game, The Legend of Zelda. The one I captured for this video can be found on a wall in an outpost just north of the Woodson pig farm, and it simply reads, "It's dangerous to go alone, take this." For those of you who don't know, this is a direct quote from the 1986 game, and it's spoken by the old man who gives Link his sword near the start of his adventure. This next one is less of an Easter egg and more of a funny little joke from the developers. Head to the base of the Bridge of Tears, position yourself on the north side facing towards Dutch's Island, and then dive into the water to find this mysterious barrel. But what treasures could be hidden in this lonely container? Is it cash? Maybe guns? How about a brand new golden mullet for your character? Well, unfortunately, it's none of those things. The barrel actually contains plain old drinking water. It's water within water, which makes this waterception? Joseph Seed has a lot of fans in Hope County, what with all the brainwashing and the violent coercion and stuff. Not everyone is so willing to bend the knee though, as a short trip to the yes sign in John's region will prove. Make your way up behind the sign and you'll find a special message written on the back side of the letter E, which reads, "The father stinks." Now, this could be referencing his mean and murderous personality, or maybe it's calling out his lack of personal hygiene. I mean, I didn't see any shower blocks when we visited the Eden's Gate compound, did you? Either way, it just goes to show not everyone is willing to embrace the power of yes, so perhaps there's hope for Hope County after all. If you're a fan of the Preacher comics, make your way to Ray Ray's Pumpkin Farm for a very cool Easter egg that references Jesse Custer's iconic Zippo lighter. Hidden at the back of Ray Ray's farm is the entrance to an underground bunker. Climb down there and near the entrance you'll find a collectible called Woody's Lighter, which has an inscription on it that reads, "Fuck communism." This is of course a direct reference to the lighter that Jesse carries in the Preacher comics.
There once was a young woman who had been ostracized by her community.
This here is Faith, and if you've played the game already, you'll know that Faith is into drugs in a big way. When she's not appearing in trippy hallucination sequences or vanishing into thin air right in front of your eyes, she's busy making sure the residents of Hope County are smacked off their tits on bliss. Far Cry 5's mind-melting, made-up medicine. Faith's not just into fictional drugs though. The tattoo on her left arm shows the molecular formula for a very real drug: cocaine. You're going to need to hike up Raptor Peak in Faith's region to see this next Easter egg, so make sure you're wearing some decent walking boots. Reach the tip of the mountain and not only will you find this giant bird's nest, but you'll also come across this corpse holding a saucepan. Or should that be butt pan? You see, while some people think this is a nod to Ellis from Left 4 Dead 2, I'm more inclined to believe that this dead dude is a reference to PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and its infamous bottom-protecting kitchenware. Guess there's no chicken dinner for that chap, though.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the very last episode of our vlog.
Just before the launch of Far Cry 5, Ubisoft released a short movie on Amazon Prime Video called Far Cry 5: Inside Eden's Gate. The film told the story of 3 vloggers, Alex, Sarah and Hannah, who, after being tipped off about missing locals and sinister events in Hope County, go on a mission to infiltrate and expose the project at Eden's Gate. Predictably, the shit hits the spinny thing not long after they arrive, and the film ends with all 3 of the team being captured. But what happens to them after that point, you might be wondering? Well, going by events in the film, it's probably safe to assume that Sarah at least would have ended up joining the Peggies. As far as I know, Hannah's fate remains a mystery, but head on over to Steel Farm just north of the Lamb of God Church and you'll be able to find out exactly what became of Alex, and unfortunately, it's not pretty. Taped to the side of a caravan is this note, explaining that basically John tortured Alex to death after he attempted to free the others from the cult. Need more proof? Well, here's his battered and bruised corpse hanging outside the farm for all to see. Just another friendly reminder that you shouldn't really mess with the seeds. At the time of producing this video, no one has managed to find Bigfoot in Far Cry 5, but that doesn't mean he's not in there somewhere. There's enough clues lying around to suggest that he'll make an appearance someday, so if not in the main game, perhaps he'll appear in a future slice of Bigfoot DLC. Make your way to the Old Sun Chalets in Faith's region, and in one of the buildings you'll find a load of camera equipment and a detailed map showing where sightings of the Sasquatch have occurred in the past. The map itself is one of Hope County, although not the whole of the region. The island there on the south of the map is Dutch's Island, where you start the game, so that makes everything else surrounding it Jacob's region. Going to the locations marked on the map have so far uncovered 0 proof of Squatchy's existence, but if you head to Dansky Cabin on the west side of Jacob's region, you'll at least be able to hear the Sasquatch. Follow the clues in a prepper's note left outside the cabin and you'll even be able to find the Hairy Boy's cave. Just don't stick around for too long. Judging by all those remains, I think it's pretty safe to say he's not a very friendly Bigfoot. Bit of a random one, this one, but if you keep a sharp eye out when snooping around people's houses, you'll be able to spot some actual Sky HD remote controls lying around. Okay, so they're not 100% the same. The Sky logo has been replaced with a menu button to avoid any potential copyright shenanigans, but apart from that, they're pretty much identical. If you want to check it out for yourself, I found this one on the sofa in Nick Rye's house at the southeast end of his compound. Okay, let's stick with random for a bit because this next Easter egg is anything but normal. To the south of Hope County Jail in Faith's region lies Prosperity, a rundown town populated by scores of creepy mannequins. Each mannequin has been lovingly arranged in a wacky pose by this chap, a messed up chemist who seems to live there all on his Todd. If you think living on your own in a town full of mannequins is odd though, wait until you see what he's done with these two shop dummies. Oh, didn't know you could do that with a pumpkin, and talk about an explosive finish. Spooky sex mannequins aren't the only things that will give you the willies in Far Cry 5. There's also a couple of references to Stephen King's balloon-loving murder clown, It. First up, located smack bang between the Lamb of God Church and Nick Rye's airfield, is this old sewer pipe. Now, this might seem like your common or garden innocent sewer pipe, but stick your head inside it and right at the end, you'll see a solitary red balloon, one of It's calling cards, and a chilling sign that he's got his eye on you. Screw you, horror balloon! It's not content with just hanging around near storm drains though, as you'll discover if you're brave enough to make your way through O'Hara's haunted house, which is located on the border of John's region as you cross over it into Faith's. The house itself is pretty cool and features some awesome animatronics, but once you've got over the fact that these aren't real people, it's actually not that scary. Until you reach the attic, that is. Up in this roof space, you'll find another red balloon hanging by a TV that's playing static. There's also a note titled Clown Thoughts that tells you that you need to fear it. And worst of all, there's this terrifying answer phone message. I'm not sure about that whole floating thing, but I'm definitely pooping myself right now.
Finally, some help. Took you long enough.
Okay, I think we need to lighten the mood after that last one, so how's about a little sing-song? Take a trip to Peach's Taxidermy and, after admiring the stuffed animal carcasses, activate this big fish on the table by the door for a lovely musical interlude. It's not exactly the same, but this is a nice little throwback to the singing trout Easter egg in Watch Dogs, which, while still musical, had a much filthier mouth. That's not the only subtle reference to another Ubisoft franchise though. During the section where you first meet Faith, you witness and then have to perform your very own Assassin's Creed style leap of faith.
I will give you purpose. I will set you free.
Hope there's a bale of hay down here somewhere. Not only that, but Redditor the I-Man 2 also spotted this gun for hire sat outside a cabin, who's sporting a very familiar name. Time travel in Far Cry 5 confirmed? Okay, so these next references to other Ubisoft franchises are about as subtle as a rock to the face, but they're still rather cool. Head to the upper body section of the clothing store and you can browse an entire section of Ubisoft-themed t-shirts. From Beyond Good and Evil, Far Cry Primal, Rabbids and For Honor through to Watch Dogs 2, Rainbow Six Siege and Assassin's Creed Oranges. All the big hitters are there. My favourite one though is this red Vars vest, a fitting tribute to the best villain in the Far Cry series. Talking about the Far Cry series, there's plenty of Easter eggs that link the past games to this one, starting with Hope County's reading material. In pretty much every house you enter in Far Cry 5, you'll stumble across a bookshelf full of books and magazines. Most seem pretty random, but I've spotted a few in there that have links to this series. First up on this shelf, we can see a book titled Trials of the Rakyat. The Rakyat, of course, were the tribe indigenous to the Rook Islands in Far Cry 3. On the shelf above that, there's a book titled Oros, a Mesolithic Paradise, which is a reference to the location for Far Cry Primal. And just to the left of that are 5 copies of Mumu's Fashion Week. Mumu Chiffon, if you don't know, was Pagan Min's personal tailor in Far Cry 4, and he gave you side quests where you had to hunt and kill rare animals so he could make clothes out of their skins. The final book here is titled Blood Dragon 2, Darling Revengeance, which makes this the novelisation of the sequel to Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. That book is also a lovely way to lead into this next Easter egg, because if you take a trip to this area east of Hope County Jail, you'll stumble across the film set for Blood Dragon 3, the next film in the series. While you're here, you'll spot a few actual Blood Dragon Easter eggs in the shape of these Blood Dragon eggs, and if you complete the mission given to you by the director, you'll also get to wear your very own Omega Guard uniform. Mark IV style, motherfucker! Of course, Blood Dragon isn't the only spin-off represented in Far Cry 5. Behold, Hope County's Primal Park, aka the Mastodon Geothermal Park, which comes complete with 2 huge Mastodon statues near the entrance. Mastodons aren't actually the same as Far Cry Primal's woolly mammoths though, because both games are set in completely different regions of the world. For another little prehistoric primal prize though, head along to Frobisher's Cave, southwest of Ray Ray's pumpkin farm. It's a bit hard to find your very first time, but you'll know you're close because you'll see this sign for the Devil's Lighter Fluid. Head into Frobisher's Cave and go right to the back, and you can admire some wonderfully preserved cave paintings.
Hello, sweet little monkey king, you up there?
Okay, so I can't do this Easter egg video without at least mentioning Hurk once. Hurk has, of course, been one of the few recurring characters in the Far Cry series, and the first time you meet him, you can find him praying to the monkey god in front of a pile of boxes from all his previous adventures. There's Rook Island shit from Far Cry 3, Kyrat shit from Far Cry 4, and Oros shit from Far Cry Primal. Although technically I guess it wasn't Hurk who appeared in Primal at all, it was his ancestor Urki, so how the hell Hurk got 3 or 4 boxes of Oros shit in his back garden is beyond me.
Actually, I could do it by myself, but I don't want to.
Much appreciated.
This is Agent Willis Huntley, the CIA operative who first appeared in Far Cry 3 and then returned in Far Cry 4, where he tricked AJ into killing undercover CIA informants.
You've been killing CIA assets this entire time. We're cleaning house. Pagan no longer represents a clear and present danger to the US.
In Far Cry 5, Huntley appears for one brief side mission where he tasks the Rook with recovering an embarrassing VHS tape. That in itself is of course a sly reference to the infamous Donald Trump P-tape that Putin may or may not have stashed away in a safe place.
Attention, comrade. The bed has been wet. Repeat, the bed has been wet.
You're in trouble if that ever gets released, Donald.
Follow that chopper to Boyd's house. Let the target get in, and they'll lead you down the yellow brick road.
This is fantastic. Kenny's a good kid.
Aside from a few blink and you'll miss them references in previous Far Cry games, there's never been any concrete links between Far Cry 2 and the rest of the series. Until now, that is. Chat to the testicle-loving chef in the Spread Eagle bar, and after a while, he'll tell you about the Jackal, Far Cry 2's main antagonist.
Everyone's got secrets they'll never tell. You heard of the Jackal, right? That arms dealer in Central Africa? Sure you have. Everyone has. Nobody knows what happened to him since his body was never found. I know. I wish I could tell you more, but the report won't be declassified until 2058.
2058, huh? Could that mean Far Cry 6 will be set in the future? Who knows? But what we do know is that Ubisoft has also included another little Far Cry 2 reference in here in the shape of this book titled Malaria, the Annoying Disease. Because as everyone who's played Far Cry 2 will know, malaria is in fact the most annoying of diseases. So, we've had loads of Easter eggs referencing past events in the Far Cry series, but how about events from Far Cry's future? Well, if you head on over to Larry Parker's farm and poke around inside his house, you'll find a couple of posters showing off a futuristic colony on Mars. The buildings featured in this poster look incredibly similar to those featured in the Far Cry 5 Season Pass trailer, which shows off gameplay from the upcoming Lost on Mars DLC. That means it's highly likely that you'll be playing as Larry Parker in this new episode. Don't believe me? Well, maybe this will change your mind. When you activate the final generator that zaps Larry into another dimension, quickly run into the beam with him and you'll witness a split-second glimpse of one very angry-looking alien. Now, if you haven't guessed already, this angry-looking alien looks incredibly similar to the other very angry-looking aliens featured in the Season Pass trailer, which is even more proof that it will be Larry who stars in the Mars DLC sometime in the future. This final Easter egg can be visited at any time, but it's best to do it once you've completed the game and recruited all the guns and fangs for hire. Hop in a vehicle and head to the 8-Bit Pizza Bar near Hope County Jail, and you'll discover exactly where all your pals hang out when they're not following you around murdering people on your orders. The more guns for hire you've unlocked, the busier the bar will be, and it's a lovely place to hang out once you've dealt with the seeds once and for all.
I love you, Mama. We gonna have matching tattoos before you know it. Just you watch. Hey, miss.
And there we go, those were all the Easter eggs I could gather together in one video-shaped basket, but I'm pretty sure you lot will stumble over many more in the coming weeks and months. If you've spotted one I've missed, let us know about it in the comments below, do like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and most of all, do have a lovely day. Goodbye.